Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Small Business Stories. We are so excited. We are in season not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, but season six. And so we're really excited kicking January off with a whole theme around health and wellness. And I'm very privileged and excited to bring a friend of mine on the show today, Stan Radomski. He is a fitness instructor. He's a winning bodybuilder, Mr. New Jersey. Hello, hello. And he's focused on health and wellness, and he also coordinates scientific events. So this is an all-around, I think, great way to kick off the new year. Stan, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Laura Lynn. And that's quite the introduction. I definitely appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, you can live up to it, right? You can fill the
True.
spaces, as they say. So it's fantastic. Stan and I guess we've known each other now. Geez, I don't know, 12, 13, 14
No,
years.
I think more than that, right?
Oh,
I
yeah.
I think
15?
it could be 20, maybe 20 years.
It's been a while.
Been a while.
Yeah.
We met at the PA BPNG group, that meeting.
Geez, Louise. Yeah, I guess we're
Pennsylvania. Yeah, that was a long time ago.
holy cow. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was a really long time ago. But that said, I think it speaks to a couple of things. I think it speaks to how people should focus on relationships that matter, even though we don't talk all the time. I mean, even just a few times a year lately, we've been so busy, but maintaining a connection, I think that that's important. And I think it's also important to give relationships room to breathe and grow and change. I mean, those are my takeaways. What are yours?
No, and I agree with that. I mean, it's all about the networking. I mean, really, the gist of those groups was building those connections. And I've made a lot of friends through those groups. I mean, even though it wasn't my circle, let's just say that. But the people that I met were, they were good people. And my role in that was to, bring people together as a networker. That's what I do. I do it in my fitness groups. I do it, and I'm always trying to connect people. It's just what I do.
I
And
know
I
you
have
can,
and I have to do it in my own life, so I can't be telling people you should do this and I don't do it myself. So,
right.
I think that speaks volumes.
Yes, well, I think like you as the guy I know, you've never been that guy. Yeah, yeah, you get off the couch. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And go work out a little bit and do something while you're sitting there stuffing your face with bonbons. Not your way. And you're
No.
always connecting people. I mean,
Yeah.
the bionet biotech, pardon me, networking groups that you've created. I mean, you grew them to many, many, many thousands of people, very active groups. So you know how to network.
Yep. Yeah. I'm a connector. I consider myself a connector.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, let's talk about that. What do you see as the importance and the benefits of networking with others and of being part of a community where you are networked into?
Mhm. Um, the reason why we really started those groups was I'm in pharmaceutical, and there's really not a lot of networking groups. I came out of that group. There was another group. Well, the guy that owned that group before, it was I can't remember the name of the group, but he basically moved. And so, he had this group. We'd meet on Tuesdays, and it was a core of us that we became friends over the years. And then he decided to shut the group down, and we're like, "Oh, wait a minute, what are we going to do?" There's no pharmaceutical networking groups in the central New Jersey area. So that's when he shut that group down. That's when we decided we're going to launch the New Jersey Biopharma Networking Group. And then that kind of grew, and that morphed into Pennsylvania, and then it morphed into New York, and and all the other groups. But the goal of the group was to continue to build those connections. And New Jersey, we launched that in 2010, and it was pretty amazing because we had the core from the previous group, but what we did with that group was, we had a partnership with Rutgers. The woman, the instructor at the time would come to our meetings, and she's like, and she said, "How about we do this? If we were to network and bring together the academia, those kids moving from academia to the workplace." And we get them to network with you. What would you think about that? And we put a whole presentation together, and it was really cool to watch the dynamics of the younger generation in networking with the seasoned veterans, us as the seasoned veterans. And it was cool to see that. And we did that in the New Jersey group. We had done it with another college as well. One of There was a guy that would come to our meetings, and he'd also go to New York, and he's like, "Oh, I really like what you did with Rutgers. Can we do that at my college?" The thing is, we were all volunteers, and it just took this. It just took a lot of time. You know, we were none of us were getting paid for it. And then, of course, flash forward to 2020 when the pandemic hit, and basically everything just shut down. You know, and even doing a networking group virtually, there's still a lot of planning on the back end that still needs to happen. Even though there's no physical place, you've got to send out the invitations, because you can't just put something out there and expect people to show up. You've got to like constantly broadcast it. And it got to the point where like I've been doing it for so long. I needed to do something different. And I needed to, physically for me, I needed to step away and pursue other things. I mean, I'd been doing New Jersey. I launched New York. I launched Massachusetts. I launched St. Louis. We launched a group in Canada. We had a member from the New York group move to Canada, and she's like, "I want to launch a group here." So we saw a lot of successes. I mean, the group is still around. The groups are still around today, but in a completely different capacity. You know.
Right. And well, a couple of observations. One, do you think that young folks, like again, we are the old and seasoned folks, just in case anybody had any doubts about where we are in
We're
this.
only 39, Laurelyn. Only
Well,
39.
well, see, I'm going to be 40, so I'm a little older than you. That's right, right? Yeah. So us middle-aged folks, yeah, compared to the Gen Z, do you think Gen Z has lost the art or the interest in networking?
I don't think so. I mean, think about how we started.
Hmm.
There was no networking groups for us. I mean, it was, how did you get to meet people? How did you find a job? I think today with social media, I think it's a necessary evil. I think everybody has to network whether they like to do it or not. Because, even when you're looking for a job, what are you doing? You're networking, you know? And I think a lot of the colleges today, I think they're probably teaching them like this is what you have to do, this is where you have to go for things. We didn't have that. We didn't have that when we went to college. I mean, I know I went to college. I was in my mid 20s. You just picked a college and you just went. But even looking for a job or doing whatever or meeting people, I mean, you have to network. And I still go to plenty of networking meetings, and there's a lot of young people there. So I think it's definitely different for us versus for us. We've had to adapt, where these guys have basically been born into it.
Yeah, I
You
would
know.
say that there's a lot that has changed and shifted. But
Mhm.
I also think, again, like in another observation, the importance of community.
Yep.
It's amazing to look. I look back and I've met, oh my goodness, I wouldn't even want to count them. Tens of thousands. I mean, just even during the pandemic years, I
Yep.
went through banker boxes full of business cards that I had collected over the last whatever 5 years prior. I mean, it was tens of thousands of cards. So if I got a card, I've obviously met somebody. And so I
Right.
was thinking about that. Most people, of course, lost touch with and all that. But I do think I'm richer for the experience. You practice your pitch,
Mhm.
you practice your communication skills, you practice engaging with people and trying to read people. I mean, it's never a waste.
Yeah. No, it's not. It's not.
No. And then I'd also like to think about, like, again, the power, again, an observation of being part of a community. Whatever you define as that community, it might be your church group. You might volunteer places. You might be part of a networking group, an industry association, whatever it is. I really think it's becoming more important to have that sense of community and belonging because of all of this AI crap,
Oh,
right?
totally,
Don't you
totally
think?
agree. Totally agree. I mean, yeah, whether we like to do it or not, I mean, there's times, trust me, after working all day, the last thing you want to do is go to a networking group. But you know what? When you go there and you make those connections, and I mean, those connections build over time. It's not like you and I met each other like we were fast friends. I mean, it took,
No.
this is years. I mean, this is years in the making. The friends that I have, it was years in the making too. Um, but something brought us together. For us, for you and I, it was the BPG networking groups that brought it was that community. It was that community because we were both in the same industry, you know?
That's right. It made a difference. Do
Mhm.
you think as you're getting older, it's getting harder to make friends?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Totally agree with that. I mean, I've been in the gym for a long time, and I remember when I was in my 20s in the gym, you know, people are like, oh, how long you been in the gym? "Oh, 3 or 4 hours," and you didn't think about that because you had no responsibility. So I'd be hanging out with my friends for 3 to 4 hours, and then I'd go the next day. And like nowadays, you go in and you just like, I don't have the time. I want to go in, get my workout done. You know, but I often think about that. Like I think about when I was in my 20s and my 30s, like, God, it was so easy to meet people, you
Mhm.
know? And even when I was working at the gym, I would like sit back and I would just watch the interaction. Like, God, that was like me 20 years ago, you know? And it's like, I think as we get older, it gets very hard to meet people. It really, really does, because everybody has their own lives,
Mhm.
and everybody's in their own little world. That's what it is. Everybody's in their own little world.
I think it's a couple of things. I think with the whole invention of AirPods, earbuds, whatever,
Mhm.
brand that you follow, that those have created artificial walls. So it
Yep.
said, hey, don't bother me, leave
Yep.
me alone, don't look at me.
Yep.
Then we've got the factor of the whole Me Too. My goodness, heaven forbid if anybody of opposite gender or anything looks and says, "Oh, hey, you working out?" Like you hear, like, "Oh, my goodness," right? There's the, the flags will go up. So better zip it, say nothing. And
Right.
then the third thing I think is another factor is our age.
Yeah.
People don't want to talk to people that are our age. We get and we're, hey, just for the record, in case anybody's not getting the visual experience, Stan and I are not 95 years old by any means. We are
Feel like it. No, I'm
middle-aged.
just kidding.
Yeah, yeah, it does. There are days. Don't even get me started on that. But especially the morning, get out of bed. Like I grunt now, but that's a whole other thing. Anyway, but I also think it's much more difficult as we get older because people are more invested and insular about their own lives. They don't want any other distractions. We've all had enough drama and nonsense and this and that. We don't want any more of that. So we're just like, yep, I'm going to stay in my lane and ignore anybody else who just
It's
happens to
true.
be in the way.
And that's why I think going to networking meetings, especially like, and I can't speak for all the industries because I've only been in two, but like when I go to my pharma ones, I mean, I know a lot of the same people are going to be there, and at least you're trying to build rapport with those people. It takes time and it takes multiple meetings. If they go once and then you'll see them again, that's a different story. But
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I think about that a lot because I think, like I said, I think about my younger days. Like, gosh, it was just so easy. You had a big wide net of friends, and it's like, and then as you get older, I mean, your life, basically life gets in the way between, family and kids and travel and a house and whatever. You have like regular
Job,
big people
career.
responsibility. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's hard to, and trust me, me being newly single now I'm living it because I was married for a long time and now I'm single and trying to get out there and meet people, and it's really difficult. Like you have to really get yourself out there, and as a networker, I know what to do. That's the nice thing. A lot of people don't know what to do. They're like, I mean, it's almost like they're kind of gun shy. Like, you got me, I got to go out there and I got to put myself out there. I'm like, yeah, you do. you
Yeah,
know
absolutely you do.
yeah.
I met my husband on Match, right? I mean, that's just it. But I was out there, I was there, I was everywhere. But you need to go to find the pockets to where people are. I mean,
Yep.
that's just it. If you're going to stay home cocooning, you're
Well,
probably
they're
not
not going to
going to
find you.
meet people.
They're not going to find you sitting home. That's what I tell my friends. They're not going to find you because my friends are like, "Oh my God, and I've been single for a year now," and everybody's like, "You've really done well for yourself." I said, "Yeah, but if I don't do it, they're not going to find me sitting in my place.
Right.
So I've
Well,
got to
that's
get
just
out
it.
there."
Yeah, that's exactly it. Now, let's talk about it because it is January and the focus is always on health and wellness. And everybody knows the statistic that of the people who buy a gym membership in January, fewer than 10% make it to February, right?
Yeah, true. That is true.
Now,
That
you've been
is
a gym
true.
rat for
You just,
decades.
I mean, and you kind of see it in ebbs and flows, but yeah, I remember, we would say, okay, these guys will be gone by March, and now it's like like the gyms don't seem to be as crowded in January, February like they were like back in the day. And I don't, maybe because that's why America is the way it is, but yeah, we know, like, okay, you can see who all the newbies are. They don't do things right. They don't put their weights away, and we're like, all right, they'll be done. Give them a couple weeks and they'll be done.
And it's even though you are a fitness instructor, you're certified this, that, award-winning bodybuilder, Do you think you can go up to these newbies and say, hey, you're doing those bench presses wrong or anything? You probably
Mm-mm.
can't.
No, you
Right?
can't because
Right.
they think they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, when I was a couple of years ago, um, when I was working at a gym as a trainer, I would. It's like you almost like when you're trying to get clients, you almost have to get into their heads. Like, okay, you know, like you almost have to be the shrink to them. Is what I'm trying to say. And so they come in with these glorified ideas, like they want this perfect body, and then you start talking to them, you start probing, get them probing questions to them. And then, like, oh yeah, I want to do this. Okay, that's great. And then my big thing was like, okay, so take me through day one. So you come into the gym, you've never worked out with a trainer before. What are you going to do? And the first thing they do is, I'm going to do the treadmill. Okay, that's great. How long are you down for? About 15 minutes. Then what are you going to do? Well, then I'm going to leave. I was like, okay, what about weights and stuff? So take me through day two. And I would actually literally, and this is my plan, was like, okay, take me through each day. And they give me the whole week. And I said, okay, so by day five, what have you done in the gym? They're like, well, I did the treadmill. And what's going to happen next week? And they're like, well, I don't know. I'm like, you're not coming back. Because what's going to happen is they're not being challenged. And the safety zone is the treadmill. That's the safety zone. It's easy to use, can't mess it up. You know, going on the floor, looking, especially if it's a meathead gym. I mean, people get intimidated. Especially the older generation gets intimidated when because they feel like, well, I can't match up to what they're doing. It's like, who cares what they're doing? You're here for yourself. That's all that matters. And I remember I had one client when I told her she was not coming back. She was like, I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm like, okay, prove me wrong. She actually came back and I trained her for about a year.
Wow, that's
But
pretty good.
majority of them, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to say out of 95% of the clients, the ones that wanted to work out, never came back. There was two things that intimidated. One, because they didn't know what to do, but two, the money. Because they thought, oh, I want to look curvaceous, and I want to do this and that. Well, that comes with a price, and you can't put a price on your health and wellness, but there's going to be a price on it. And not only that, there's also time commitment. How much time are you willing to invest in this? I mean, I've been working out hmm, since my late teens. So I've been working and I've been literally in the gym 45 years. 45 years I've invested in myself. I've gone to school, I've raised my family, but I always made fitness my priority. That's what got me through school, you know? And people, especially today's generation, they want it immediate and they want it fast and they don't want to work for it. And that's kind of sad. That's really sad to see.
Right. It's just so much easier. Get your gluteal fat removed, right? Get a little liposuction. Great. Get my calf
Yep.
implants. All
Yep.
done. Fantastic. A little GLP-1. Excellent. I'm all skinny. Give me a few months. Done.
And I can still eat what I want to eat
Right.
because I
Like
can get everything
those,
sucked out of me.
yeah, like those kettle barbecue potato chips and chocolates that I eat. I try to keep them to a minimum, but I can't go to zero.
Right. Yeah, it's I mean, I hear it all the time, like, oh, I wish I could do what you do. And I'm like, anybody could. I'm not doing anything special. I'm just doing what I enjoy doing. I've set goals for myself. And, my plan was never to compete. I was never, not that I never said never, but it wasn't in the cards. Let's just say that. I mean, I only started competing 3 years ago. And, but for me, it's part of my DNA. And that's what I said. I'm like, you have to make it your everyday. Like that's got to be your go-to. When you're stressed out, you go to the gym and you just work it out. And that works for me. Like I tell everybody, it's in my DNA. I mean, my kids do it. My kids work out right early. So it's kind of cool to see what I've done. Even though some people would think it's an obsession, it's not. It's just something that I enjoy doing for myself. Bodybuilding it just brings me to a whole different level.
And that's just it. It does take commitment. It does take work. There are no magic bullets, really, as much as there's whatever GLP-1s that are out there and everybody's injecting their little stomachs with them or, to try to stop all of that stuff. But it takes work. It's the same as an entrepreneur, right? All the small business owners, you've been around enough of us as small business owners, as giggers, as this, that. You've done it, been on those paths and that too. You have to hustle. It doesn't stop.
Nope.
It really doesn't. It just doesn't come to you. Few of us are gifted with access to whoever it is in Hollywood or this or that, or being Nepo babies. And oh, great, we can just turn our Instagram on and boom, we wake up overnight and there's a million followers. And great. It's not how it works in the real world.
No, I mean, well, that's that, and that works with anything. I mean, it's like you have to, it's like how driven are you? As an individual and as a person, do you want the easy way out or do you want to work for it? I mean, it's like a job. You have to learn to apply yourself. And I think, like for me, like I know what drives me. It's just how it's just how I work. But everybody's different, so.
Yeah, and it's the same. And I want to go back to a comment you made about when you had the biotech networking groups, that it takes a lot of work. It's a lot of volunteer hours, it's a lot of coordination, it's a lot of scheduling and then rescheduling. And then, oh, this one canceled, this one missed. All of that stuff takes time. It doesn't just automatically happen, even with
Yep.
AI. And like you said, though, you've got to want it. I
Yep.
want to have a successful podcast. This is season 6. I didn't just show up and say, hey, great. You know how hard it is to work to have a ranked podcast out of the sea of tens of millions of podcasts out there? It takes relationships, it takes reaching out to guests, it takes scheduling, rescheduling, all of the stuff, planning for the interview, all of the things, the production, the airing. And then at the end, very few people actually share the episodes. And so you think, wow, why are we doing this? But maybe that's not part of their goal, even though they wanted to come on, or some cases, in most cases, in fact, they pinged me. Like requested out to you to be interviewed. But for the most part, people ping me, hey, can I be on your show? And so it's this whole psychology about what is important. You said the gym is important. You make time for it. For me,
Yep.
I don't like the gym. I don't make time for it, but I make time for my dog to walk her because that's a priority for me.
Right.
You do what you love and you do what you feel like you need to do.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. That's what, when I hear like guys, especially like I do a lot of posting on social media. I share my journey, share my fitness journey on Facebook, and I belong to a whole bunch of, private fitness groups. And, you guys like, oh my God, you look great for your age. I wish I started sooner. And I'm like, but you can't. It doesn't matter when you start working out. It doesn't matter when you start your fitness program. The fact is, you're doing it now. You have to look at where you were in your life at that point and why you couldn't do it. And you can't beat yourself up because you can't change the past. What you're in control of is present day and future. That's what you're in control of. For me, it was like, well, why did you start when you started? Because the timing was right. You know, I had no responsibility. I was basically I was working. I wasn't even in college yet. I would finish high school. I worked. I was living home, so I had no responsibility. So why not join the gym? You know, and I look back now, I was like, wow, like I never thought I'd still be doing it, and I never thought I'd actually ever compete either. But like I said, for me, I enjoy it. Um, I enjoy I enjoy inspiring people because I know that's what I do when I post my pictures and when I share, because trust me, Laura Lynn, you've seen you've known me for a while. I mean, you didn't know the 20-year-old Stan versus the, let's say, the
Nope.
the 40-year-old Stan. We're two different people basically. And so, but I share that when I'm writing and I'm posting, I'm sharing what my struggles were because it's not easy. It's not like I just lifted a 5-pound plate and I just put on muscle. No, it took a lot of drive. It took a lot of determination. There's just you. Even though you fix your body, you have to fix what's upstairs as well. Because even though you're physically fixing what people see, they don't know what's in your head. You know, and as a young man, especially a young guy, even females, I mean, you see what's out on social media. Like
Oh,
the perfect body. Okay, that's not reality. Yeah, it's reality if you're going to work for it, but that's not what you should aspire to. you know and what I tell people is like this is like I struggled like you. I struggled with putting a pound on. I was pencil thin when I first started working out, and it took a lot. And I look back now. I have a coach that I work with that I pay, and he designs my meal plans, and he designs my routines as well. And you know, I look back on that now, I'm like, God, if I would have had this 20 some years ago, like, I know I wasn't eating enough. That's why I could never put a pound on because I wasn't getting enough calories, on a daily basis. But, I'll tell people, like, just, it doesn't matter when you start. Just start whenever and just move forward with it. I know guys that are in their 50s, 40s that are just starting working out now. It's like, hey, as long as you enjoy it, that's what matters. If you don't enjoy it, then you shouldn't be doing it.
Right? You won't be able to keep up with it.
No. No,
That's the
because they'll find an excuse not to go. And that's what happens with a lot of people. Again, the gym is very intimidating. Those people, and this is what I always recommend to anybody new coming to the gym. Like, if you've never been in the gym before, spend the extra money and hire a personal trainer. That personal trainer can get you started on a program. So this way, when you come into the gym on day one, you're just not going to do the treadmill. You're going to do the treadmill and, oh, I've got to do this workout. And then I'm going to come back on day two and I'm going to do this workout. Because I said, if you don't do it, you're like a fish out of water. You're just going to keep floundering. You're going to get frustrated. You're going to lose interest, and you're not coming back. And that's what happens majority of the time. And through my years in the gym, that's what I've seen. Even as a personal trainer, I saw it as well.
Oh, yeah. And I think about too, and going to the gym, being intimidated, this, that, all of this sort of stuff. It really took me, I would say, until around ish my 40th birthday when I stopped comparing myself to everybody else with respect to everything.
Yep.
Finances, their body, how pretty they were, how nice their hair was, how fit they were, how much they did this, they did that, all of that sort of stuff. And I got to the place where no, the metric is my own.
Yep.
Am I going downhill? Am I trying to stop it? Am I trying to improve? What am I trying to do? Am I embracing lifelong learning? Am I focusing on gratitude and health and wellness? Or am I just giving up and letting everything just happen to me? Or am I doing something about it? Right?
Yep.
And but it took me a long time. It took me 40 years, to
But
get that
I mean, you're not the only
mentality.
one. I mean, we all, everybody goes through that. You know, life in general, you have your life experiences, and trust me, it took me a long time to get comfortable in my own skin. The reason why I didn't compete when I was younger was because I just never felt I was good enough to compete. Like, honestly, I never felt I was big enough to compete because I'm like, oh my God, I'm like this skinny twig, and that guy's like massive. I can't compete with that. And you have to get to a point where, like, you know what, this is me. And you have to learn to accept you for you. You have to learn to be happy in your own skin because, you know what, one, life is very short, and two, you get one body. It's not like you're like, oh, I don't like this body, I'm going to trade it in for another. It's yours. you know and how you treat it and what you make of it, it's all up to you. And you have to get to the point of, like, you know what, screw what everybody else says, and I'm happy with just being me you know
Oh, yes. That's what I love going through the decades. In your teens, you're trying to figure it out and trying to be
Mhm.
all this and all that and, pretend to show off and be a bag of potato chips and everything else to everybody else. In the 20s, you're thinking, okay, yeah, I'm still pretty cool. I'm awesome. 30s, you start to come into your own. 40s, you're like, nah, I'm not so affected by anything else anymore. And
Yeah.
then when I hit 50, I was like, DGAF, man, like this is it.
Exactly what I was like when I hit 50. When I hit 50, I really did not care what people thought. I was like,
No,
if, and that's what I tell my friends. I tell my friends this today. It's like, you either accept me for me or you don't accept me at all. And because I'm not going to change. I mean, and I always, I always wanted to please everybody else. Dress the way they wanted, say what I want. So I'd watch what I would say, and then it's like, no, that's not who I am. It's really not who I am. And I think you really, I think you have to be who you are. I think that's what it has to be.
for sure. Now, again, back to the gym. Since it's January and people are heading into the gym, maybe for the first time, or maybe they're coming back to it after a few years or decades away and they're trying to get 2026 off on the right foot. You've already given advice, have that trainer to get started so they get into a routine from day one. What else do you recommend to either men or women who might be listening to this podcast?
I think just I just set goals for yourself. Set realistic goals. I think what happens is people just they have this vision in their head, but they haven't really thought the process through. And I think you have to be realistic. If you're in the gym because you want to lose 40 to 50 pounds, that's a long journey. It's not easy to put weight on, and it's not easy to lose weight, because you are changing someone's mindset. When you go into the gym, you're changing someone's mindset, and they're either going to like it or they're not going to like it. You know what I'm saying? But you are changing their mindset. You're trying to get them to live a healthier lifestyle. But I think they have to be realistic with their goals, and you know don't weigh yourself every day. I mean, trust me, I've worked with plenty of people like, oh, I want to lose weight, and they'll just weigh themselves every day, and they just
Yeah.
start beating themselves up. What I would tell my clients is, no, you weigh yourself once a week. If you average 2 pounds of weight loss a week, that's good. If it's more, that's a bonus. One, don't starve yourself. Continue to eat your food in moderation, but you have to continue. And I tell my friends this all the time, like, you got to make sure that you're getting a good balance of macros. With my coach, I know that I have my macros are all balanced between my fats, my proteins, and my carbs. Everything is balanced. And I think learning how to do that. I mean, today I think they can do it in Chat GBT. I think they could literally put together a meal plan in Chat GBT. Like, it's just, that's how scary it is. But yeah, I just think being realistic with your goals, and just be happy with the milestones that you're going to achieve, because it's going to take a while. I remember when my son first started working out after the pandemic ended. He would never go to the gym with me, and then finally, when the pandemic ended, and the gyms we still have to wear masks when the gyms reopened, but he wound up going, and he's like, when am I going to see results? I said, realistically, 6 to 9 months. Because it's not going to happen overnight. It's not. It's 6 to 9 months. You should start as long as you're starting to eat right. If you're going to go to the gym and still eat, like, say, 5,000 calories a day, that's going to be not a good thing. You know what I'm saying? But realistically, yeah, 6 to 9 months, you should start seeing results.
There is that intake output thing, right? If you're consuming 5,000 calories of potato chips and ice cream every day and only
Yep.
working off 1,000, the math
Correct.
doesn't work, right?
No,
It doesn't work. No.
no.
Now, as we're wrapping up our podcast here, where can people follow you on social media to see your journey in men's fitness and bodybuilding and just embracing health and wellness? Where can folks
I'm
find
on,
you?
I'm on Facebook. I'm on Facebook. So my tag is Trainer Dude. I think I'm Trainer Dude 58 on Facebook.
Okay, very good. And last question, it is our signature question. I've asked it about 300 times, which is
Uh-oh.
frightening to think about. That's how long it takes to get a podcast that's ranked, but there we go. If we got to peek into your closet and looked at some footwear or clothing or accessory or something that says, this is Stan Radomski, signature, personifies you, what are we looking at?
I'm a jeans and a t-shirt guy. I don't like to dress up. You'll find jeans. Like, I am very casual. I don't like to dress up. I hate where I have to wear a dress shirt to work every day. If I don't have to, give me a t-shirt or just even a sweater. Just very casual.
There you go. So we heard it, folks. Stan Radomski giving us all kinds of good tips on.
I've never been asked that question before. That's pretty funny.
Few people have. It's like I
That's
said,
so
that's why it's my signature question. And we've had unbelievable responses over the years.
that's
Like
so funny.
just unbelievable. Everything from, oh my God, well, I don't even know. It's just it's too wide ranging. And really never the same answers twice, which is kind of fun. It makes it interesting. And so, okay, we've heard from you, Stan. Basically, get out there and get started, right? Why wait?
Exactly. Exactly. 2026 is a new start, so you gotta start somewhere.
Thank you, Stan.
Thanks. Pleasure. Have a happy New Year.